If you've struggled with anxiety for years, you've watched countless YouTube videos, you've even tried medications, but you feel like something hasn't truly changed, this video is for you. I'm Dr. Fanistel. I've been a board-certified primary care physician for 35 years, and for most of that time, I used medications as the primary tool to treat anxiety and depression. But modern neuroscience is teaching us something new. For most people, medications alone aren't the most effective way to create real and lasting change. In this video, I want to explode 3 myths about modern psychiatry that might be holding you back. And then I want to show you 2 simple tools that you can introduce into your day in just a few minutes a day to start rewiring the anxiety circuits of your brain, to start living a life with more ease, more calm, and more confidence. Myth number 1. Modern psychiatry has a biologic explanation for anxiety and depression. It doesn't! We have chemicals, but we don't have a clear explanation for why these chemicals help, when they help at all. Humans have known for thousands of years that chemicals alter brain chemistry. Alcohol can change your mood, so can peyote, so can marijuana. Sometimes for the better, sometimes not so much. This is not exactly a shocking scientific breakthrough. In the 1980s, as we developed a deeper understanding of cellular metabolism and receptors on cell walls, pharmaceutical companies started developing new chemicals to alter brain chemistry. Some people felt better, some people felt worse. And we built a growing library of medications that help some people some of the time. And then we ran medical studies to prove exactly that. If you've found a medication that works well for you, that's genuinely great. More tools are better than fewer tools. But having more chemicals to try doesn't mean we actually have an understanding of what's causing anxiety and depression. The New England Journal of Medicine put it bluntly. Something has gone wrong in contemporary academic and clinical psychiatry. We're operating under the banner of scientific medicine, but there's no comprehensive biologic understanding of either the causes or the treatment of psychiatric disorders. That's not a podcast rant. That's 2 Harvard psychiatrists in the New England Journal of Medicine. Now, compare this to other areas of medicine. Over my career, I've watched dramatic improvements and reductions in heart disease, certain cancers, infections like pneumonia, kidney disease, all sorts of things. Why? Because we understand the biology better and better every year. But despite decades of psychiatric medications, rates of anxiety and depression remain stubbornly high. In many populations, suicide rates are increasing. These medications don't treat the root cause because they're not based on a clear understanding of what the root cause actually is. So if medication is helping you, please stay on it. This is not an anti-medication rant. But if you're still struggling, here's an idea that may give you permission to think differently. The medical explanation for anxiety and depression is no more scientifically complete than many other approaches. And if what you've been offered isn't working, it may be reasonable to say, maybe I'll try something else. So the truth behind the first busted myth, despite modern biochemistry and mapping the human genome, we have no good chemical or genetic or any other scientific explanation for the cause of anxiety. Myth number 2. Anxiety is a medical problem that requires a medical fix. Let me be very clear. I'm not trying to trivialize anxiety and depression. They can devastate lives. They can even lead to suicide. They are serious and they need to be taken seriously. But here's the shift. They are not medical problems in the usual way that we think about them. Gun violence and poverty also devastate lives, but we don't treat them with a pill. Not because they're not important, but because the answer doesn't lie on a prescription pad. When we step back from a purely reductionist approach of neurotransmitters and cell membranes and look at what neuroscience tells us about brain development, a different picture emerges. A better way to look at anxiety is as a learned neural circuit. Your brain's primary purpose is not to keep you happy, it's safety. And it takes that job very seriously. Over your lifetime, it has quietly wired together habits and behaviors in your subconscious brain to move you safely through the world. Most people with anxiety have wired together some hypervigilant circuits because they needed those circuits to help them move through the world safely. Their brain has learned to keep them in a little bit or a lot of fight or flight. It was a really smart strategy. Maybe you grew up with adversity. Maybe you're sensitive and you feel things deeply. Maybe you were handed a neurodivergent brain and then dropped into a school system that said, good luck with that brain in our system. Whatever the reason, your brain learned. Stay alert, stay ready. And over time, it has wired these circuits of hypervigilance. And now that alarm system is a little enthusiastic, like a smoke detector that goes off and you're just making toast. And the good news is, and this is important, neural circuits can change. That's neuroplasticity. And don't worry, you didn't miss the window. It's not too late. Brains can change at any age. All circuits are changeable. If you have anxiety, you may feel diseased. It can be exhausting and debilitating. But instead of telling yourself you're broken or you're sick, consider telling yourself a different story. You have a normal brain running learned neural circuits of hypervigilance, circuits that you didn't choose, but were once useful. And now, you get to teach your brain something different. Mind-body medicine is a neuroscience-based method of rewiring these neural circuits. And if you're watching this, congratulations. You're already in the process of rewiring. You're exposing your brain to something new. You're thinking differently. And if it feels uncomfortable, that's not a disease. That's called learning. The truth behind busted myth number 2. Anxiety is a learned neural circuit, and because of neuroplasticity, it can be unlearned. And this leads to myth number 3. The best non-pharmacologic tool for depression and anxiety is talk therapy. I want to be careful here. Talking to somebody, a friend, a therapist, a professional, can really be helpful. When I first started getting into this, I remember seeing a woman who had years of anxiety, and now she's seeing me, and my response was something like, really? Been seeing this therapist for 5 years and you're still this anxious? What good has that done you? And she looked me right in the eye and she said, I'm alive. That got me off my high horse. We're all in different places in our lives. We need this help or that help at different times. Who am I to question what you need right now? I'm just telling you there's a new set of tools that might be helpful to you. But I also see people who've spent years in therapy. They understand themselves. They understand why they're doing what they're doing, but they're still feeling sick and anxious. So in mind-body medicine, we stop endlessly trying to figure ourselves out, and instead we start treating anxiety by working with the body. What? That sounds weird. Working with the body to treat anxiety? Yes, because anxiety is always in the body. Anxiety is the protective alarm that your hypervigilant brain is sending to the body, and we can't fix what we're not looking at. Thoughts can contribute, but anxiety is always in the body. The tight muscles, the constricted throat, the squirrely stomach. As Bessel van der Kolk says in the title of his best-selling book, the body keeps the score. Your body is your subconscious brain. And when your subconscious brain feels unsafe, it sends protective alarms to the body. So we respond in the same language, through the body. As Stanford neuroscientist Andrew Huberman once said, trying to control the mind with the mind is like trying to grab fog. If you want to control the mind, turn to the body. The truth behind busted myth number 3, for many people, the best treatment for anxiety is to get out of your analytic mind and turn towards the body. So let's turn towards the body now with these 2 simple tools that you can start inserting to your day. I like to call these active mini meditations. The first active mini meditation is called Drop Your Shoulders, and it looks like this. Not sure you did it right? You could raise your shoulders to your ears and drop them. The second active mini meditation is called One Slow, Gentle Breath In and Out Through the Nose, and it looks like this. Here's what's happening. If I'm about to be attacked, I'm like this, and I would never do this. When I do this, I just sent a message of safety to the brain, and I sent the message in body language. This is the language of the autonomic nervous system, this protective subconscious part of my brain. This is a message of safety because nobody sits like this under threat. When I do this, my crew brain down here is going, hey guys, the captain of the ship just stepped in. Has us doing slow nasal breathing. Everything must be fine. Because nobody slow nasal breathes under threat. These are 2 body-based messages of safety to the brain. Every time you take that breath, you activated your vagus nerve. The vagus nerve carries 80% of the parasympathetic fibers in your nervous system. These are the relaxation fibers, or the relaxing part of your autonomic nervous system. And neurons that fire together wire together. Nice rhyming phrase, comes from the neuroscientists who see it happen. So if I fire some of these parasympathetic neurons with a shoulder drop, and I do it again, and I just do this here and there throughout the day, my brain kind of says, hey, we keep firing these parasympathetic neurons. All right, if you're going to fire them so often, I'm going to wire more of those together for you. You are literally building a stronger, calmer parasympathetic nervous system. And this is true whether you want it to happen or not. It's just a fact of how we are physiologically put together. We're going to use that new understanding to give messages of safety to the brain throughout the day. So I like to say, you don't have to think happy thoughts. You don't have to meditate for half an hour, and you don't have to go to nirvana. Just do the damn exercises. So I encourage you to start inserting these simple active mini meditations into your day throughout the day, and then relax into this idea and see what happens over the next few days or the next couple of weeks. I hope this is helpful to somebody out there. I encourage you to start taking a new approach for your anxiety if this makes sense to you. And let me know in the comments whether this is helpful, whether you like this idea. All right, I'm Dr. Brad Fanistil at BoulderMindBodyMedicine.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.